Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 505, or welcome back if you're a early viewer. My name's Nick. Today is going to be a video where me and Scott we're going to be doing draft picks on album covers. Before we begin, I just want to say I just love album covers because it's like you know it's like if, back then before the internet, like this could be like the first impression of the album. Like, like who knows what the album's gonna sound like. You're only really basing it on the album cover, and I feel like album covers should be a lot more recognized than they really are. Um, this could be two parts. Part one is going to be me and Scott. Scott's going to share his 10 drafts. I'm going to share my first five. Part two is going to be me, Adam, and Breyer. They'll share their 10, and I'll share my other five. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Album covers are very important for the music, just because it's kind of your first taste of what is this album about. I know there's one particular album that I put on here because the only reason I listened to it and discovered this artist was because of the album cover. So,
yeah, it's just album cover could make or break an artist. Really, sometimes it's like
yeah,
I don't know. I always thought that the album cover was always like one of the key elements of a band.
exactly why I haven't listened to Head Games by Foreigner at the moment.
Yeah, because that album cover sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of us picked that, so
Thankfully.
There are some album covers I am sad that didn't make the cut, like Between the Buttons, Aftermath, what's it called? Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 4. It's just there's a lot of great album covers, but there's just a bunch that we didn't pick. But there is 40 we picked that I'd say 37 of the 40 I say are key album covers. Three of them I picked because it's like they're so bad it's good. We'll find out when we do it. So what we're doing, how I'm going to do this is Scott's going to share his first 6 album covers, and then so you do first 6, and I'll do my first pick, and then he'll do his 7th. I'll do my second, his 8th, my third, his 9th, my 4th, and you get the idea. So Scott, leave us off with your first pick.
Okay, my first pick is going to be Cosmo's Factory from Creedence Clearwater Revival. Yes, that one right there. You take a good look at it.
Yes.
What you see here is the boys from CCR in their recording facility, which was called The Factory, was where the title of the album comes from. And while if you actually went there, you would see them playing their instruments. I love the album cover because it looks like they're making the music while doing all this goofy stuff. You got, you got Doug Clifford on a bike.
Yeah.
John Fogerty is at the drum set, which he didn't even play the drums. Stu Cook has like a little toy piano by his feet. Tom Fogerty is just like, hey, it's like they're just chilling and having fun. And here it's like they're doing all this crazy stuff trying to. It looks like all this crazy stuff goes into the making of the album. And that's why I picked this album cover because it's just very fun.
Yeah. And I love how like the drummer guy is nicknamed from this album, Cosmo's Factory.
Yeah.
I'll give my input on this album cover. I think this is a really awesome cover. My favorite album cover by them, sadly, isn't picked by any of us. It's Biocountry, their second album, aka their first 1969 album. That one's really cool, but none of us picked that, sadly. But that's a really good first pick. But what's your second pick?
My second pick is Hotel California by the Eagles.
That is a really good pick.
And there it is right there. Whenever you think of like what image do you want to choose to convey this album? It's just perfect. And sadly, the Eagles got sued by the people who own this hotel because they didn't get any kind of license or anything to take a picture of it and put on the front of their album cover. And which is funny, again, because they didn't even notice it was their hotel until a while out after it was released. but it perfectly conveys the haunted hotel vibe. It's dusk. You got the hotel with the ominous lighting. You got the palm trees, which show that it's California, and then you got the little Hotel California logo at the bottom, which I actually have a neon sign of that I keep underneath my Hotel California album cover that I put proudly on display. But whenever you go on the back, it shows all the members of the band as well as a bunch of people inside the lobby of the Hotel California. And when you open up the gatefold, you can see like the lobby is all vacant, and you can kind of see somebody walking upstairs that looks like a ghost. And yes, whenever I did the my picks, I included the full package, including inner sleeves and gatefolds and stuff. And that's why I decided to include this one, because it really conveys the creepy atmosphere that it's trying to show you. And as soon as you drop the needle on that first track and hear that 12-string guitar intro, you know, like, yeah, the album cover perfectly sets up the vibe of this album.
Yeah, my thoughts on this album cover, I really enjoy it. Definitely my favorite album cover by the Eagles. It's I love how it looks like it's kind of like a sunset. I think it was taking place. I don't know if it was a sunrise or a sunset, but I think it looks really cool. Yeah, really good second pick. What's gonna be your third pick?
My third pick is going to be Out of the Blue by the Electric Light Orchestra. It was either going to be this one or A New World Record, and I ended up going with this one. But the spaceship on the front of the album is designed to look kind of like a jukebox with those flashy colors and like neon tubes. I just think it's really cool because this spaceship is iconic for ELO. Whenever you open the full gatefold, you can see the full picture, and there's like a spaceman next to the spaceship. And then when you open the gatefold, you can see inside of the spaceship and take a look inside the control room. And what's funny is this little jet that's being taken into the spaceship. The thing that's written on the side of it is actually the catalog number for the record. So taking all that into consideration, I just think this is really cool and definitely needed to be included on the list.
Yeah, it's a pretty good album cover. I always thought it was cool. My favorite album cover by them is the Discover one.
Oh, yeah, the Arabian Nights one.
I always thought that was a really cool album cover. So this is really cool too. I like how it's just like looking like it's about to board the music. You know, the music jukebox. I always thought that was cool. What's gonna be your fourth pick?
My fourth pick is going to be Stewie Griffin's Nightmare, News of the World by Queen. Yeah, this is iconic image. Whenever you think of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, if you haven't heard the full album, you know this image just because that's the album cover. But if you know the full album, you know this album cover very well as well. It's a great album. But you got this killer robot that is kidnapped the band members of Queen and killed them all. And whenever you open the full gatefold, you can see that he grabbed them out of a concert. And then the inside, you can see like the people at the concert like running away from the robot. I picked this cover because it's very bold and draws your attention as soon as you see it, because you're like, what is this? Like this killer robot who like murdered Queen. Like what's on this album? Like I gotta check this out. And then you play it. It's like, oh, it's We Will Rock You, We're the Champions. And then you hear some of the other songs like Sheer Heart Attack or All Dead, or Spread Your Wings, or It's Light. And you're like, wow, this is a really good album. And I checked it out just because it had a robot on the front.
My thoughts, really iconic album cover. Couldn't get any more iconic than this. I know their most iconic album is Night at the Opera, but man, one of the first images when I think of Queen, I think of this album. It's really cool. Yeah, I love this album cover. What is your fifth pick?
Number 5. I'm going to go with a classic album cover that everyone wears on a t-shirt, even if they don't know the album. And that's The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. It's a very simple album cover. You've just got the light going through a prism and going into all the different colors, but something about the simplicity is what makes it even better. Just like the simple prism on the front. I love the inside gatefold when you open it up, that the colors continue on and even have a heartbeat on them. And then when you go on the back, the colors go into another prism and it goes back to white light. And then the white light goes back around and it's like an infinite loop, just like the album itself. And
yeah, that was cool.
If you've never heard this album, it definitely makes you want to check it out and see what it's about, especially whenever you have like the posters with the record. There's a poster of the pyramids, where it's kind of like, is it like the pyramids have to do something with the prism or something?
I think so. Not sure.
Not exactly sure, but it's a cool album package.
I agree. I think it's like the best when it's like showing the full thing. I think this image is great, but I think if you own the album, I think it would be even better. What's going to be your sixth pick?
Oh boy. So I'll just give 1 hour more. 2. Yeah, might as well. I'll go ahead and do Who's Next by The Who. Yep, when I think of great rock albums, I think of this album, but a lot of which just because of the iconic album cover. You got the members of the band next to this obelisk, which kind of is reminiscent of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And you got this like cool sky in the background. And at first you just think like, oh, they just look really like mad for some reason. But then you look on the obelisk and it looks like they just peed on it. So, especially Roger Daltrey, it looks like he just zipped up his pants. And Keith Moon looks like a little kid in this picture. He's like, oh, I just had to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. John Entwistle actually looks serious in it, but some of the other people, especially Keith Moon, don't have quite a serious expression. But whenever I look at this, I just think of a great rock album.
Funny enough, is that like Keith Moon? My little brother said it. Is that like Keith Moon looks like one of the three guys, one of the three band members, his younger brother that the mom made go with them. It was like, bring your brother along, and I'm like, now that I look at the album cover, I've
got to pee. I've got to pee. Pull over.
I love that album cover. It's, my favorite band of all time. So iconic. Whenever I look at that album cover, I instantly think of Baba O'Riley or Won't Get Fooled Again. Such a cool album cover. Now for my first pick. So I'm only showing you 5 of my picks. These first 3 are kind of like it's so bad it's good. So these aren't really serious picks. So the first one I'm going to pick is an album cover that me, Scott, Briar, Jason, Jacob, Adam, we all made fun of some way or another. That is the very infamous Mr. Wonderful album cover.
Mick Fleetwood jump scare.
So this album cover is just so stupid. It's like you get like a goofy, dumb expression from Mick Fleetwood. You got that doll in the bottom right-hand corner. And you just got like on the left side, you got the name of the band and the name of the album cover. It's stupid. It's really stupid. But it's just one of those album covers that it's like so bad it's good. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what the heck they were thinking when they made that album cover, but it's dumb enough. And we've made fun of it so much. And it became a channel staple of just bashing that album
just
cover.
As iconic as Dust My Brim. And honestly, those two just go hand in hand.
Exactly. So I had to pick that album cover. I knew no one else was, so I'm like, yeah, I'll be the one to pick it. What is your 7th pick?
My 7th pick is going to be Moving Pictures by Rush. Yes, there it is. This one is very iconic for me because not only is it one of my favorite Rush albums, but just the front image is very it has different meanings to it. So if you can see, the first thing you can see is the people are moving the pictures. So like, oh, ha, 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 moving pictures. But then, like, you look over to the side and there's some people watching and they're crying. And it's like, oh, they're so moved by the picture. Oh, moving pictures. And I don't know if you have the image from the back, but if you look at the back of the album, it shows the whole thing on a sound stage and people are filming it. And so it's a moving picture and it's like a triple meaning to it. And that's the reason I picked this one, was just because it's the triple meaning of the album. Also because it has the dogs playing poker painting on the front, which is really fun.
That's cool. I was considering putting Signals, but like it's not really that interesting of an album cover.
It's a Dalmatian peeing on a fire hydrant.
Yeah. My second pick is going to be another sort of goofy album cover. We're going to go with Adult Child. The Rejected album from... so basically after the Love You album, they recorded this. This is like the third Brian's Back album. This would have been the third Brian's Back album. It was only 2, 15 Big Ones and Love You, but this was planned to be the third one. There's nothing more to say. It's just Brian Wilson just looking like an adult child with that fire hat on. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But I don't know. It's kind of like the Mr. Wonderful cover, but even better in stupidity. And I don't know. I kind of had to pick this one as well. So what is your 8th pick?
My 8th pick is Synchronicity by The Police. Funny enough, that's actually not one of the actual record variants. They switched it up. But the reason I picked this one is because there's several different variations on the album cover. Like, you can get any of the band members in any order, any of the colored stripes in any order, and then there's also like several different pictures that like they can slide over and have different sections of the film. And on the back, it features a set of 3 different photos. So I picked this one specifically just because, like, of all the different variations on it. It's just very very striking whenever you look at it first. It's like, here's the band members, and there's a colored stripe for each of the band members, and each of them are doing like different things. And you can honestly sit and look at this album cover for a long period of time and still not catch all the different details.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I'd say my favorite of the 3 that's shown here is probably the top one with the clock in the background.
Oh yeah, Stuart Copeland's pictures.
Yeah, those are the coolest ones.
The copy that I have has the same 3 pictures and the same 3 stripes, except Sting in the yellow is on the bottom and Andy in the red is in the middle. Okay, so it's just basically switched. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another cool album cover. I'm glad you picked it just for the variants, but it's not one of my all-time favorite album covers, or even my favorite from The Police. My favorite would probably be the one they used for the third album.
Oh, Zenyatta Mondatta with the pyramid.
Yeah.
I considered choosing In Through the Outdoor as well because of the variants.
Yeah. My next pick is going to be the last, like, sort of joking pick. Prepare for the jump scare, Scott. Born Again by Black Sabbath. Take a look at that.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, I'm starting to think I should have saved this for when Briar was with me on this, but oh well. Sorry, Briar. Yeah, this is an album cover, right? For an album.
Yeah.
It's so freaky, it's so creepy, and I mean, just staring right into it right now, I'm like, this thing's gonna eat my soul. So
yeah, let's get rid of it so it doesn't.
So let's remove that. I just picked it for its shock value. It's definitely a shocking album cover. What is your 9th pick?
Tarkus by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah, this is the album that I listened to solely based on the album cover, because I was listening to Yes a lot. It came up in my recommended, and I saw this picture of an armadillo tank, and I was like, what is this album? It's an armadillo tank. I gotta listen to that. And I was only planning on listening to just a few seconds of the song. I ended up listening to the whole 20-minute song just because I looked at this stupid picture of an armadillo tank. And that's how effective this is. Whenever you open up the gatefold, now I have the record, you can see the armadillo tank fighting all kinds of different creatures that's like half animal, half machine. And then he fights like a manticore at the last picture. And it's like, this is epic. It's an armadillo tank, and he's fighting all of these half robot, half animal creatures. Like, you can't get more epic than this. I had to pick this one.
Yeah, that's my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer album cover too. It's certainly is something. I will say that. Yeah, it's such an epic album cover. I couldn't agree more with that. My fourth pick is going to be ABBA's Arrival album. It just so happens to be my favorite album from them is also my favorite album cover. It just happened to work out that way. It's such a cool album cover. I love how they're like in the middle of nowhere. You know, basically the title of the album, Arrival. They arrived in the middle of nowhere. Just, I love the white suits they're wearing. It's always thought of it like as like a kind of futuristic album cover. A little. I've always loved this album cover. To be honest, this is like one of the reasons why I decided to listen to this album. It's such a cool album cover, and I don't know. I've always loved this album cover. So my favorite album cover from my favorite album. So what is your last pick?
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Yeah, this one is iconic for a reason. You got all these famous people from the 20th century looking at Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and even including the Beatles, kind of showing the Beatles' transition to a different style of music. They thought that by donning the alter ego of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, they could write songs in a new style without having people say, oh, that doesn't sound like the Beatles. And so this album cover perfectly displays that. And there's even the Beatles are there looking at Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. You got that iconic logo in the middle with the drum, and then them in their iconic outfits and holding instruments. And there's a reference to the Rolling Stones as well, the little doll on the right. The sweater says, please welcome the Rolling Stones or something like that. And underneath it says this like Beatles and flowers. And then I guess I should mention this, but there's the whole Paul is dead conspiracy that if you look at the flowers at the bottom, that it's a left-handed guitar, but the letters spell out Paul ? And it's like, is this a funeral for Paul McCartney? Like, I don't believe in that, but I do get a kick out of reading people's thoughts about like the clues in the albums apparently. But yeah, this one had to be on there.
I'll add on some of what you said. I see the top right corner. You got Bob Dylan, Edgar Allan Poe's in there. Trying to notice more.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, and also the Rolling Stones looked at that album cover with the Stones on it, and then they ended up having four of the Beatles faces on their Satanic Majesty's Request album cover. So it was like, I think that's cool. So like, the Beatles give a shout out to the Rolling Stones, and then the Rolling Stones gave a shout out to the Beatles. I always thought that was awesome. My fifth pick is going to be also another iconic album cover for this particular band. Funny enough, you were talking about Sgt. Pepper's. Now I'm showing you the album that inspired Sgt. Pepper's.
Oh, yes.
Pet Sounds. This is such an amazing album cover. Got them in the San Diego Zoo, feeding the goats. Some people argue, there's goats on the album cover. It's the greatest album of all time for some people. So it's like kind of like hinting that this is going to be the greatest album of all time. So It's like, oh, the goats are there. Goats because it's the goat.
It didn't mean that back then. It's 1966.
Yeah, I know. But that's just what some people say.
Man, I need to listen to that album again.
Yes, Pet Sounds, one of the greatest albums of all time. I love how like Mike Love is just sort of in the back, like, I don't want to feed those.
And Dennis is like feeding an imaginary goat.
Yeah, like
Dennis is one there, and he's holding his hand up.
Let's go from left to right. So Carl is like, he's like, kind of looks a little afraid. He's like, oh, I'll feed it. Brian's like, hey, you want it? Dennis is like, here, imaginary goat. Here you go. Al Jardine is like, here you go. He's like the most confident. Bruce Johnson is just not there. I guess he wasn't really an official member yet.
Sadly. I know his voice is all over this album.
I know, it's so weird.
Yeah, he does like the bridge, like the outro of God Only Knows.
Yeah, I wish he was in this album cover. I know with the Summer Days album cover, Al Jardine wasn't in there because he missed the boat ride that day. And then Mike Love, like I said, is just standing there like, I'm not petting those goats.
I'm not gonna be a part of this. How foretelling.
It's like I don't want to be a part of this.
Even though he sings on some of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, I know.
Here Today is a banger.
The top, just the track listing. I wish, in my opinion, I feel like the track listing portion of it should have been cut out. I don't think that was necessary. I think if that was cut out, it would have been even better. I love the Beach Boys Pet Sounds thing and the Capitol. I wish it would have been even better if they would have pushed that up a little further.
Have you seen the brown? Have you seen the brown variant?
I have. Actually,
I don't know. What are your thoughts on the brown variant?
Let me showcase it first before I give my opinion.
Supposedly the brown variant is like the best. Supposedly the best sounding version of Pet Sounds.
Trying to find a good image of it. Hold on 1 second. I didn't know that. I've heard of it once, but I never heard about its sound quality.
I gave somebody a brown variant of Pet Sounds one time for a graduation gift, which is funny because it's really rare. I don't know how I found it. Yep, there it is.
So my opinion on it, I actually like the green one better because I think green fits it a lot better. It has like a lot more of a. It feels a lot more like what's that word? It feels a lot more comforting than this one. What's your thoughts?
Of course, I like the green one because that's the one that was released first, and that's the one I have. But honestly speaking, the brown one is pretty interesting.
I like the brown one. I think the green one's so much better. I think if they would have did what they did with the brown one, but with the green one, I feel like it would have been a lot better. Not only that, but it would have been cooler if, Bruce Johnson was on the album cover,
Yeah.
He added so much to that album. But yeah, Pet Sounds, such a great album cover. It's not even my favorite album cover by them. I picked it because it's just so iconic for the Beach Boys, When you think of Beach Boys, for the most part, you either think of their surfing and all that, or, of course, the Pet Sounds album cover. Big honorable mention to Sunflower in 2020. Those are my two favorites. But you have any last things you want to say before we close out for tonight?
These are the album covers that I picked. I picked them all because of either historical significance or just because personal taste.
Nice. I picked mine because kind of like you with the historical and all that. And I guess the ones I picked for this video are just the more ridiculous ones, my first three picks. But next video in this series, part 2 and the final part, it's going to be me, Adam, and Briar, where we tackle my last 5 plus their 10. That's going to be fun to go over that. Thank you for joining me for today, Scott, as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long.